The trading station floated in the darkness of space like a giant metal spider. It was old and ugly, with rust covering its walls and broken lights flashing in the corridors. This was a place where criminals came to hide, where traders came to cheat, and where fighters came to die. Commander stood on the high platform above the fighting arena. She was tall, almost 7 feet, with silver scales covering her body like armor. Her eyes were yellow with black slits, and when she moved like a predator. She was a member of the most feared warrior race in the known galaxy. They had ruled this part of space for 3,000 years. They were strong, fast, and deadly. Their ships were the biggest. Their weapons were the best. Other races looked at them and felt fear. This was the natural order of things and had never questioned it. She had come to the trading station on military business. There were reports of weapons smugglers in the area, and she needed to investigate. But the investigation was boring, and someone had told her about the arena fights. She decided to watch a few matches to pass the time. So far, she was not impressed. The fights were brutal but predictable. Big aliens smashed smaller aliens. Creatures with claws cut creatures without claws. There was blood and screaming and the smell of death. The crowd loved it, found it dull. Her aide, a young named-in, stood beside her with a data tablet. "Commander," he said, "the next fight might interest you. They have captured a human." Made a sound of disgust. A human, those soft creatures from the blue planet, that is not a fight, that is an execution. "Yes, Commander, but the arena masters think it will be entertaining. Humans are rare in this sector. Many here have never seen one." Had seen humans before during her travels. They were strange beings with soft skin and no natural weapons. They had no claws, no fangs, no poison glands, no armor plates. They could not see in the dark. They could not smell danger. They were slow compared to most species, and they were weak compared to all species. The galactic community had a name for creatures like humans. They called them prey animals. The only reason humans had survived at all was because their home planet was far from the main trade routes. By the time other species found them, the humans had already developed space travel. They had technology, at least, but technology could be taken away. Like now. The gates at the bottom of the arena opened, and 2 guards pushed a human male onto the sand. The crowd made sounds of excitement and mockery. Some threw garbage at him. Others laughed. Studied the human with mild curiosity. He was not as small as she expected. He stood about 6 feet tall, which was average for a human male. He had dark hair, brown skin, and eyes that were almost black. He was wearing torn clothes that might have been a pilot's uniform once. His feet were bare. He had no weapons. The announcer's voice boomed through the arena. "Our next challenger is a human from the planet Earth. His name is Daniel Carter. He was the pilot of a cargo ship that entered space illegally. The punishment for this crime is death in the arena." The crowd cheered. Daniel Carter did not react. He stood in the center of the arena and looked around slowly. He looked at the high walls. He looked at the crowd. He looked at the gates where his opponent would enter. His face showed no fear. His body was relaxed. Found this strange. Most creatures facing death in the arena showed terror. They screamed, they begged, they tried to run. This human did none of those things. He simply stood and waited. "What is he doing?" and asked. "I do not know," admitted. The gates on the opposite side of the arena opened. The crowd fell silent for a moment, then exploded with cheers. Walked onto the sand. Were nightmare creatures. They stood 8 feet tall and had 4 arms, each one ending in claws that could cut through metal. Their bodies were covered in natural armor that could stop most weapons. They had small eyes, big mouths full of teeth, and a brain that thought only about killing. This particular was a champion. His name was, and he had killed 47 opponents in this arena. His armor was decorated with the bones of his victims. The betting pools showed the odds. 1,000 to 1 in favor of the. Some people bet on the human anyway just for fun. They would lose their money. Roared at the crowd and they roared back. He turned to look at the human and he made a sound like laughter. This would not even be a challenge. This would be a quick kill and then dinner. Daniel Carter watched the monster approach. He still did not run. He still did not scream. He shifted his weight slightly, moved his feet apart, and raised his hands in front of his body. He was going to fight. Leaned forward. There was something about this human that caught her attention, something in his eyes, something in the way he stood, something that did not match what she knew about humans. "He is insane," and said. "He cannot possibly think he can win." "Perhaps," said, but she was not so sure anymore. Stop playing for the crowd. He focused on his prey, his forearms spread wide, ready to grab and tear, his legs bent, preparing to charge. Then he charged. The moved fast, faster than anything that big should be able to move. He crossed the arena in seconds, his claws reaching for the human's body. What happened next made his breath stop in her chest. Daniel Carter moved. He did not move away from the attack. He moved into it, sliding to the side at the last possible moment. The claws missed him by inches. As the monster rushed past, Daniel's elbow came up and struck the creature's throat with perfect precision. Stumbled, he gasped. He had never been hit like that before. The crowd went silent. The human was still alive. The human had hurt the champion. The human was smiling. Gripped the railing in front of her. Her claws dug into the metal, leaving marks. She could not look away from the arena below. "What was that?" and whispered, "How did he do that?" Did not answer. She was too busy watching the impossible thing that was happening in front of her eyes. The fight was just beginning. Shook his head and turned around. The blow to his throat had confused him. No prey had ever struck him before. No prey had ever survived his first attack. This was new. This was strange. But was not worried. He was a champion. He had killed 47 opponents. One lucky strike from a soft human meant nothing. He charged again. This time Daniel Carter did not slide away. He ducked under the 4 swinging arms, moving so low that his body almost touched the sand. As he passed beneath his fist shot upward and struck the creature under its arm, where the armor was thin. Howled in pain. The crowd was completely silent now. Every eye watched the arena. Every breath was held. Daniel stood up behind the monster and waited. He was not even breathing hard. Felt something strange in her chest. Her heart was beating faster. Her scales were rising slightly, the way they did when she faced a worthy enemy. But she was not in the fight. She was only watching. Why was her body reacting this way? "That is not possible," and said. His voice was shaking. "Humans cannot fight. Humans are prey. Everyone knows this." "Everyone is wrong," said quietly. Turned to face the human again. This time there was no laughter in his eyes. There was only rage. He would not underestimate this prey again. He would use all his strength and all his speed. He attacked with all 4 arms at once. His claws cut through the air from 4 different directions. There was no way to dodge all of them. There was no way to escape. Daniel Carter did not try to escape. He moved toward the attack. His body twisted and bent in ways that seemed impossible. One claw passed over his head. Another passed under his arm. The third he pushed aside with his palm. The fourth he caught by the wrist. Then he pulled. That was much heavier than the human, but Daniel was not trying to move the whole creature. He was using the monster's own force against it. He pulled at the exact moment when was off balance. He twisted his body and added his weight to the pull. Flew through the air. The 8-foot monster crashed into the sand with a sound like thunder. The arena shook. Dust rose in a cloud. The crowd gasped. Stood completely still. She had studied combat her entire life. She knew 100 fighting styles from 100 different worlds. She had never seen anything like this. This human was not using strength. He was using something else. He was reading his opponent's movements, finding the weaknesses, and using the enemy's own power to cause damage. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. It was art. Got back to his feet. He was slower now. He was hurt, but he was also angry, and angry were dangerous. He roared and charged again, but this time he was smarter. He did not swing wildly. He kept his claws close to his body. He tried to grab the human rather than cut him. Daniel changed his approach too. He stopped dodging and started attacking. His hands moved like striking snakes, hitting specific points on this body. Each strike was fast and precise. Each strike seemed to cause more pain than it should. He hit on the side of the neck. The monster's left arms went weak. He hit on the lower back. The monster's legs stumbled. He hit on the chest. The monster gasped and could not breathe. He is hitting nerve points, realized. He is attacking the creature's nervous system directly. That is impossible, and said. No one knows where nerve points are. Their biology is secret. This human knows. Daniel Carter continued his assault. He did not give the time to recover. He did not allow the monster to use its superior strength. He stayed close, inside the reach of those deadly claws, and he struck again and again. Tried to grab him. Daniel ducked and hit him in the knee. The joint bent the wrong way. Tried to bite him. Daniel moved aside and struck the creature's jaw. Teeth flew from the monster's mouth. Tried to fall on him and crush him with weight. Daniel rolled away and kicked the creature in the side of the head as it fell. The fight lasted 4 minutes. It felt like hours. When it was over, lay on the sand, unconscious but alive. His chest rose and fell slowly. Blood leaked from a dozen small wounds. He would survive, but he would never fight again. Something in his mind had been broken along with his body. Daniel Carter stood over his defeated enemy. He was breathing hard now. There was sweat on his face and sand on his clothes, but he was not hurt. There was not a single cut on his body. He looked up at the crowd. They stared back at him in complete silence. Then his eyes found. She was standing at the highest point of the arena, her silver scales catching the light, her yellow eyes locked on his face. Their gazes met across the distance, and something passed between them. Something that did not understand. Something that made her scales rise and her heart beat even faster. A word came to her lips, an ancient word in the old tongue. It was a word that her people had stopped using hundreds of years ago. It was a word of power, a word of binding, a word that could not be taken back. She spoke it before she could stop herself. He is mine. The words echoed in the sudden silence, and stared at her with horror in his eyes. Commander, he whispered, those are the words of claiming. You cannot say those words to an alien. You cannot say those words about a prey species. I know what I said. But Commander, by our law, by our tradition, you are now bound. You must either take him as your mate or face exile for false declaration. There is no other choice. Watch the human in the arena. Guards were approaching him now, probably to take him back to his cell. He was not fighting them. He was still looking up at her. Could he have heard her words? Probably not. The distance was too great, but something in his eyes suggested that he knew. Something in his face showed curiosity rather than fear. Commander, and said urgently, we must leave. We must pretend this never happened. No one else heard you. We can forget about this and go back to our duties. No, his voice was firm. I spoke the words of claiming. I will not run from them. I will not pretend they did not happen. But he is human. He is prey. The High Council will never accept this. Your career, your honor, everything you have worked for will be destroyed. Looked at her aide. Her eyes were cold and certain. I have killed 17 enemy commanders in single combat. I have led our fleet to victory in 3 major wars. I am not a fool, and I do not speak without meaning. When I said those words, I meant them. She looked back at the arena. The guards were leading Daniel Carter away now. He went with them peacefully, but he turned his head one last time to look at her. "Find out everything about him," ordered. "His history, his ship, why he came here, what crimes they say he committed, and find out how much it will cost to buy his freedom from the arena masters." "Commander, you cannot be serious." "I have never been more serious in my life," turned and walked toward the exit. "That human defeated a champion with his bare hands. He is the most impressive warrior I have ever seen. I do not care if he is prey species or not. I do not care what the council thinks. I want to know everything about him." She paused at the door. "And N, do not ever call humans prey in my presence again. We clearly know nothing about them." 3 days passed. In that time, learned many things about Daniel Carter. He was 32 years old by Earth counting. He had been a pilot in the Terran Republic Navy for 8 years before becoming a cargo pilot. His ship, the Honest Deal, had been carrying medical supplies to a colony on the edge of Terran space. The raiders had attacked him in neutral territory, killed his crew, stolen his cargo, and taken him prisoner. The arena masters had paid good money for him. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy, and the crowds always wanted to see something new. They expected him to die quickly, to scream and beg and provide entertainment for a few minutes before being torn apart. They did not expect him to win. Paid his debt. It cost her almost a year of her commander's salary, but she did not care. The arena masters were happy to take the money. They were also happy to see Daniel Carter go. After what he had done to their champion, no other fighter wanted to face him. She had him brought to her quarters aboard the Crimson Dawn, her personal warship. She ordered that he be given clean clothes, food, and medical care. Then she waited for him. When the guards brought him to her door, she told them to leave. They looked uncertain, but they obeyed. She was their commander. They did not question her. Daniel Carter walked into her quarters and stopped. He looked around at the walls covered with weapons, at the trophies from her 17 combat victories, at the star maps showing territory. Then he looked at her. "So," he said, "you are the one who bought me." His voice was calm. His stance was relaxed but ready. Even here, even now, he was prepared to fight if necessary. Found that she liked this about him. "I am commander of the Third Fleet," she said. "And yes, I paid for your freedom from the arena." "Why?" "Because of what I saw you do, because of the words I spoke." Daniel's eyes narrowed slightly. "I heard rumors from the guards. They said a commander claimed me. They said it was some kind of mating ritual. Is that true?" Felt her scales warm slightly. In her species, this was the equivalent of blushing. "It is more complicated than that." "Then explain it to me." She gestured for him to sit. He remained standing. She decided not to push the issue. "Among my people, warriors choose their mates based on strength and worthiness. When a warrior sees someone they believe is a suitable mate, they speak the words of claiming. These words are binding. They cannot be taken back. And you spoke these words about me." "Yes." "After watching one fight." "Yes." Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he laughed. It was not a mocking laugh. It was a surprised laugh, the kind someone makes when reality becomes too strange to process any other way. "I have been attacked by pirates, watched my crew die, been sold as a slave, forced to fight a monster, and now I find out that an alien commander wants to marry me because I won that fight." He shook his head. "This is the strangest week of my life. I understand that this is unusual." "Unusual?" Daniel laughed again. "That is one word for it." I want to be clear about something, Daniel Carter. You are not my prisoner. You are not my property. I did not buy you to own you. I bought you because my words created an obligation, and I take my obligation seriously." "What does that mean for me?" "It means you have choices. Our law says that I must either take you as my mate or face exile for false declaration. but I will not force you into anything. If you do not want this, I will find another way. I will face the consequences of my words." Daniel studied her face. His dark eyes moved over her features, reading her the same way he had read thee in the arena. "You would really face exile for me." I spoke the words. They have meaning. If I run from that meaning, I am not worthy of my rank or my name. Something changed in Daniel's expression. The suspicion faded a little. In its place came something that looked like respect. "What do you want?" he asked. "Not what your law requires. What do you actually want?" Considered the question carefully. She was not used to talking about her feelings. Were warriors. They did not discuss emotions. They acted. But this human deserved honesty. "I want to understand you," she said. "I want to know how a species with no claws, no armor, and no natural weapons can produce a warrior like you. I want to know why you did not run when you faced that monster. I want to know where your strength comes from." She paused. "And I want to know if the words I spoke were true, if you are truly someone worthy of being my mate." Daniel was quiet again. He walked to the window and looked out at the stars. The crimson dawn was moving through space at high speed, leaving the trading station far behind. "My people have been fighting since before we had history," he said. "We fought animals. We fought each other. We fought nature itself. Everything on our planet wanted to kill us, and we survived anyway." He turned to look at her. "We have no claws, so we made spears and swords and guns. We have no armor, so we learned to move fast and strike first. We have no natural weapons, so we turned our own bodies into weapons. That is what you saw in the arena. That was the martial arts of Earth. Thousands of years of learning how to kill with nothing but our hands." Remarkable said, "We call ourselves humans, but the name comes from an old word meaning clay or earth. We are made of the same stuff as the ground we walk on. We are nothing special. We are weak and soft and fragile." He smiled. "But we never give up. That is our only real gift. We never stop fighting. We never accept defeat. We break and we bleed and we die, but we keep coming. And eventually we win." Felt her scales rise again. This time she did not try to hide it. "You are not weak," she said. "You are not fragile. You are something new, something I have never encountered before. I am just a cargo pilot who got unlucky." "No, you are much more than that." Daniel turned fully to face her. "What do you want from me, Commander? The truth. I want you to stay. I want you to let me know you. I want time to understand if what I felt in the arena was real or just a moment of madness. And if it was madness, then we will deal with that when we understand it better." Daniel was silent for a long moment, then he nodded. "I cannot go home anyway. My ship is destroyed. My crew is dead. The Terran Republic will send diplomatic protests, but they will not send a rescue. I am too far from Earth, too unimportant." "You are not unimportant." "I was not important before. Maybe that is changing." He looked at her with those dark, unreadable eyes. "Very well, Commander, I will stay. I will let you know me and I will try to know you. But I have conditions." "Name them." "I am your guest, not your prisoner. I can leave whenever I choose. You do not own me and you never will." "Agreed." "You teach me about your people and I teach you about mine. We learn from each other." "Agreed." "And you call me Daniel, not human, not prey, Daniel." Felt something shift in her chest. It was a warm feeling, a good feeling. "Agreed, Daniel." He smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. "Then I think we have a deal." He used her name without her title. For some reason, she did not mind at all. 3 months changed everything. Daniel stayed on the Crimson Dawn as guest. At first, the crew did not know what to make of him. He was human. He was small and soft and had no scales. He did not look like a warrior. Then he started teaching. Gave him permission to train any crew members who wanted to learn human fighting techniques. At first, only a few curious soldiers came. After the first week, there were 50. After the first month, there were 300. Daniel taught them things they had never imagined. He taught them how to use an opponent's weight against them. He taught them how to find weak points in any body, no matter how armored. He taught them how to fight when their weapons were gone and their strength was failing. The soldiers were strong and fast, much stronger and faster than any human, but they had always relied on their natural gifts. They had never learned to fight smart. Daniel taught them to fight smart. "Your strength is impressive," he told them during one training session. "But strength means nothing if you cannot land a hit. Speed means nothing if you do not know where to strike. Watch, learn, think." The soldiers watched. They learned, they thought. Word spread through the fleet. The human on the Crimson Dawn was not prey. The human was a warrior teacher. The human had knowledge that made even the strongest more dangerous. Watched Daniel teach, and she felt something growing in her heart. It was not just respect anymore. It was not just curiosity. It was something deeper, something warmer. They spent hours together. She told him about history, about their wars and their victories and their code of honor. He told her about Earth, about its wars and its music and its strange habit of never giving up. "Your planet sounds dangerous," said one evening. They were sitting in the observation room, watching a nebula bloom with new stars. "It was," Daniel said. "We almost destroyed it many times. We almost destroyed ourselves many times, but we always found a way to survive." "That is impressive." "It is stubborn," he smiled. "Humans are very stubborn." "I am beginning to understand this." She looked at him. He looked back at her. The distance between them seemed smaller than before. "Daniel," she said, "when I spoke the words of claiming, I did not know what I was doing. It was instinct. It was something deeper than thought. And now, after 3 months, now I know that my instinct was right. You are worthy. You are strong in ways I never imagined possible. You are kind in ways my people do not understand. You make me want to be better." Daniel was quiet. His hand moved across the space between them and touched her clawed fingers gently. "I did not expect this," he said. "I did not expect to find anything good after what happened to me. But you saved me. You respected me. You treated me as an equal when your entire culture says I should be prey." "You are not prey." "No, I am not." He squeezed her hand. "And you are not what I expected either. You are fierce and proud and sometimes terrifying, but you are also honest and fair and surprisingly gentle." Felt warmth spread through her body. Her scales changed color slightly, becoming lighter, softer. "We are very different," she said. "Yes, but maybe that is good." She looked at their joined hands. Silver scales and brown skin, claws and soft fingers, two species that should have nothing in common. But they had everything in common. They were both warriors. They were both survivors. They were both looking for something more than war and duty. Then the alarm started screaming. Was on her feet in an instant. Daniel rose beside her, his body shifting into combat readiness. The peaceful moment was gone. The warriors had returned. "Commander to the bridge," the ship's voice announced. "Enemy contacts detected. Collective hive ships, 3 vessels, they are on attack approach." Blood went cold. There were ancient enemies of her people. They were a hive mind, a single consciousness controlling millions of drone bodies. They did not negotiate. They did not show mercy. They only consumed. She ran to the bridge with Daniel following. When she arrived, the situation was worse than she had feared. 3 hive ships hung in space ahead of them. Each one was massive, 10 times the size of the Crimson Dawn. They were surrounded by clouds of smaller attack craft, thousands of drones ready to swarm and kill. "Where did they come from?" demanded. "Unknown, Commander. They jumped from hyperspace without warning. They are blocking our escape route." "Can we fight?" Her tactical officer hesitated. "We have 5 ships in our escort fleet. We are 20 to 1. "Then we die fighting," turned to Daniel. "You should go to the escape pods. This is not your war." Daniel shook his head. "I am not leaving." "Daniel, they will not take prisoners. They will kill everyone on this ship." "Then I will die fighting with you." His eyes were calm, his voice was steady. "That is what humans do. We never stop fighting. We never accept defeat." Wanted to argue, but there was no time. They were attacking. The battle was brutal. Ships were powerful, but they were too few. They swarmed around them, cutting off escape routes, pounding their shields with endless attacks. One by one, the escort ships began to fall. The Crimson Dawn fought on. Its weapons blazed, its shields held, but everyone knew it was only a matter of time. Then the boarding parties arrived. They cut through the hull like it was paper. They poured into the corridors in waves. Drones were not pretty. They were creatures designed for killing, with blade arms and toxic spines and no fear of death. They did not think. They only obeyed. Led the defense. She fought through smoke and fire, her claws tearing through drone after drone. Her crew fought beside her, using the techniques Daniel had taught them. They held the main corridors. They protected the bridge. They refused to give up. But there were too many drones. They were pushed back. Found herself separated from her guards, trapped in a cargo bay with 5 drones closing in. She killed 2 of them before the third one cut her leg. She fell. The drones surrounded her. "This is how I die," she thought, fighting, as a warrior should. Then Daniel was there. He came through a maintenance hatch with no weapons and no armor. He was a human, soft and fragile and completely outmatched. He should have died in seconds. He did not die. He moved through the drones like water through rocks. His hands struck their weak points with perfect precision. He used their blade arms against each other, redirecting attacks so the drones cut their own allies. He fought with a fury that had not seen even in the arena. One drone fell, then another, then another. The last drone managed to cut him. Its blade sliced across his chest and blood sprayed across the floor. But Daniel did not stop. He grabbed the drone's arm, twisted it, and drove the blade through the creature's head. Then he collapsed beside. She caught him before he hit the ground. His blood was everywhere. His face was pale, but his eyes were open and he was smiling. "Had to save you," he whispered. "You are mine too." Held him close and felt tears running down her scaled face. Did not cry. Warriors did not show weakness. She did not care. "Stay with me," she begged. "Do not leave me, please." "Not planning on it," Daniel said. "I am too stubborn to die." Then he passed out and screamed for medical help. The Terran Republic ships arrived 3 hours later. When the Crimson Dawn had sent its distress call, did not expect anyone to answer. They were too far from territory. They were surrounded by enemies. Help could not come in time. But humans were stubborn. The Terran Republic had received word that one of their citizens was aboard the vessel. They sent 6 warships at maximum speed. When they arrived, they did not hesitate. They attacked the fleet from behind, surprising the hive mind with weapons and tactics it had never seen before. Human ships were smaller than our vessels, but they were fast and their crews were creative. They used hit-and-run attacks. They targeted weak points in the hive ships. They refused to fight the battle they wanted. The battle turned. The caught between determination and human unpredictability began to fall back. One hive ship was destroyed, then another. The third one fled into hyperspace, its drones dying in clouds around it. The humans had saved them all. Daniel spent 4 days in the medical bay. The wound across his chest was deep, and he had lost a lot of blood. It would have healed in 2 days. A human took longer. Did not leave his side. She sat beside his bed and watched him breathe. She held his hand when he was unconscious. She talked to him even when he could not hear her. "You fool," she whispered. "You beautiful, stubborn fool, you almost died for me." On the 4th day, Daniel opened his eyes. "Still here," he said. His voice was weak but clear. Still here, she agreed, and you are never doing that again. Doing what? Saving your life. Risking yours. Daniel laughed, then winced from the pain. That is not how it works. We protect the ones we love. That is what humans do. Went very still. Love. Yes, Daniel's eyes met hers. I have been thinking about it, about you, about us, about those words you spoke in the arena. The words of claiming. Yes, I did not understand them at first. I thought they were just some cultural tradition, some instinct you could not control, but now I understand. What do you understand? That you saw something in me that first day, something real, something true. You looked past my soft skin and my lack of claws and you saw who I really was. He squeezed her hand. No one has ever seen me like that before. Felt her scales change color again, lighter, warmer. And what do you see when you look at me? She asked. I see a warrior, a leader, someone fierce and proud and beautiful, he smiled. I see someone I want to spend my life with if you will have me. 2 weeks later, they stood before the High Council. The council chamber was ancient and massive. 12 elders sat on high thrones, their scales gray with age, their eyes sharp with wisdom. They ruled the people. Their word was law. They had summoned to answer for her claiming of an alien. You have broken tradition, the High Matriarch said. She was the oldest of the elders, nearly 500 years old. Her voice echoed through the chamber like thunder. You have spoken the words of claiming to a creature who is not of our kind. You have shamed yourself and your rank. I have not said. Her voice was calm and strong. You dare to argue. I dare to speak truth, stepped forward. Daniel stood beside her, healed but wearing borrowed armor. You say that humans are prey. You say they are weak and soft and worthless. You are wrong. The council murmured in surprise. No one spoke to the elders this way. This man, continued, pointing to Daniel, defeated a champion with his bare hands. This man fought drones to save my life. This man has taught our soldiers new ways to fight. He is not prey. He is a warrior. One human proves nothing, another elder said. One human is not alone, gestured to the chamber doors. They opened, and a human woman in military uniform walked in. She was tall and had red hair and eyes that showed no fear. This is Commander Lisa Monroe of the Terran Republic Navy, said. Her ships saved the Crimson Dawn and destroyed 2 high vessels. She has come to speak on behalf of her people. Lisa Monroe stepped forward. Honored elders, she said. Her was not perfect, but it was understandable. My people have watched from far away as your species ruled this part of the galaxy. We thought we would have to fight you someday. We did not expect to fight beside you. Why did you come to help? The High Matriarch asked. We are not allies, we owe you nothing. Because one of ours was in danger, Lisa looked at Daniel, and because we believe in second chances, in new beginnings, in finding friends in unexpected places. Pretty words, but words mean nothing. Then let actions speak. Lisa looked directly at the High Matriarch. They attacked you once. They will attack again. They will attack us too, eventually. Alone we might fall. Together we might survive. The council was silent. The elders looked at each other. Centuries of tradition warred with the simple logic of survival. Finally, the High Matriarch spoke. The claiming stands, she said. Of the Third Fleet has chosen a worthy mate. We will not deny her choice. Felt relief flood through her body. But more than that, the High Matriarch continued. Let this be the beginning of a new alliance. The Empire and the Terran Republic will stand together. We will face our enemies as one. 1 month later, in a ceremony broadcast across 2 civilizations, and Daniel Carter were formally bonded. The ceremony was held in space, in the gap between 2 fleets. Warships filled one side of the sky. Terran warships filled the other. They faced each other not as enemies but as witnesses. Wore the crimson armor of a commander. Daniel wore black Terran formal dress with a single honor mark on his shoulder. They stood together on a platform between the stars. "By the blood of our ancestors and the light of the stars," the priest said, "these two are now one. Their strength is shared. Their lives are joined. What was separate is now whole." Looked at Daniel. He looked back at her. Around them, humans and cheered together. "He is mine," she murmured, remembering the moment in the arena. The moment when everything changed. Daniel smiled and squeezed her hand. "And she is mine." Across the galaxy, the story spread. The tale of the human who fought barehanded. The tale of the commander who saw his worth. The tale of two species who found alliance in the most unexpected way. Humanity's reputation changed that day. They were no longer prey animals who had wandered into space. They were warriors. They were survivors. They were friends worth having. And it had all started with one fight, one impossible victory, and 3 words spoken in wonder. "He is mine." In the years that followed, the alliance grew stronger. Humans and fought side by side against the and other enemies. They shared technology and culture and knowledge. They learned from each other. And Daniel had 3 children, each one a perfect blend of both species. They grew up speaking 2 languages, following 2 traditions, belonging to 2 worlds. They were the first of many. But that is another story for another time. This story ends where it began, with a human in an arena, fighting against impossible odds, refusing to give up. And a commander watching from above, feeling something stir in her heart, and speaking words that would change the galaxy forever. "He is mine." She was right. The end.